Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'll play the video and pause here and there to talk about things that are going on and better explain what's going on and talk about things that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Information about an officer-involved shooting involving members of the New York City Police Department. You will see relevant
We'll skip through the beginning.
police year evidences to be multiple count of shooting against an attack. Strong language recorded young children and sensitive viewers.
Alright, so this is the second time that I have come across an NYPD video where at the very beginning, just like this one, the first slide talks about we'll go to it. This says, discharge one shot from a service firearm at a vehicle fleeing from a traffic stop. That right there is not very descriptive. That, to me, makes me think that they pulled someone over, the person decided to take off, and then the officer decided to shoot at him. Obviously, that's not what happened. The vehicle drove towards the officer. This is more descriptive. Why the hell they put that non-descriptive thing at the very beginning is beyond me. I have no idea why the hell they do that. That is confusing as fuck. It's misleading. It's almost like there's more than just the police department that has their hand in editing these videos or the entirety of it. I don't know. Like, it's just odd to me. Like, why would they try to cut their own throat like that by putting that misleading shit at the very beginning? Almost makes me wonder if like some civilian overview board has some type of control over these incident briefing videos, and they put that at the beginning, because that sounds like some stupid ass liberal bullshit that would be said by a bunch of anti-police people. Oh, they fled from the traffic stop and the police shot at them. No, like this fucking car tried to run the officer over. That's what happened. back this up. (9:56 at night). Is that a school bus? What the fuck's a school bus doing out that late? So this is a pre-event buffer. Nothing wrong with your audio. Standard pre-event buffer. Doesn't capture any audio, just video. I like how they got the flag hanging from the dome light there. Very patriotic.
We never get it! Get down! Get down! Get down!
So that was really quick. So I've talked about this before with body cameras. It seemed like to me that they knew that they were about to go make a stop on someone. They should have went ahead and turned the cameras on at this point, well before getting out of the vehicle. I think that's an important thing to be doing. That way, as these things rapidly evolve, you don't have to worry about thinking about a damn camera. And if you do end up forgetting about the damn camera, then if you've already got it turned on, then you're saving your ass, because what could happen is you could completely forget about the camera during one of these life or death situations that rapidly evolve. And by the time you do remember, oh crap, I didn't turn my camera on, you've already lost the opportunity for the pre-event buffer to capture those images before you hit the record button. They do their pre-event buffer 60 seconds. By default, with Axon cameras, they're at 30 seconds. So if you don't capture anything on the pre-event buffer when you hit that record button, or before you hit that record button, it's gone. I mean, we're lucky that technology is where it's at to where we can even have the pre-event buffer. If it weren't for that, then there's a lot of videos out there, like nothing would have been captured, and it would have been very hard to prove what was going on without that. So if you know you're about to go do something, before you ever get out of the damn car, hit that record button and start recording. Which he kind of does. I mean, he's getting out, but I think it's best as you're in the car before the door even opens, just hit that record button and get it going. So they've already backed up. Boom, they race forward towards this officer. I like how he does not have his other hand tied up with a stupid ass radio. He goes straight to a two-handed grip. He is ready for the fight.
Get down! Get down!
And of course, asshole in the car damages other people's property and then bails. So he never did have his camera activated. It's sometime after. Okay, so that's not a school bus. I don't know what the hell that is. So it wasn't until sometime he got further down here that he decided to hit the record button on his camera. What if something critical happened in this moment that needed to have evidence recorded? It wouldn't have existed because he didn't turn his camera on until way later after these images were captured on the pre-event buffer. Again, you know you're about to get into something. Go ahead and turn that damn camera on. Get it recording. Just get that portable in her hand. That's how you know when the movies don't get shit right. When they show a bunch of NYPD cops using lapel mics. These fuckers don't use lapel mics. They don't believe in them. Okay, so we'll back that up. Alright, so she's got a radio in one hand, and something critical is happening. So if she was the one who was being driven at, which really she kind of was, she's on that side of the vehicle, and she decided to draw her gun, well, unless she drops that radio or is very super fast in being able to put that radio back into its pouch or into its swivel mount, she's going to have to end up shooting that handgun one-handed. Handguns are already inaccurate. When you think about the points of contact with a pistol, there's only two. Your two-handed grip. So when you go to a one-handed grip, that's it. That's your only point of contact. And so you're essentially slashing your accuracy in half when you go to a one-handed grip on a pistol. Now, if she dropped her radio, well, that would suck if a gunfight happened and then she had to move to cover, and now that radio's laying out in the middle of the street and she's behind whatever. Now she can't get to her radio. Now she can't communicate to people. Lapel mics are an absolute necessity, in my opinion, when it comes to public safety, especially for law enforcement security. You've got to be able to keep both hands free to be able to fight with. And if you are having to hold on to a radio, then that limits your ability to fight effectively and increases the risk of you losing that radio and then being unable to communicate to anyone else in a very dangerous type of scenario. A lot of agencies out there have fallen into this culture belief that because during a fight lapel mics fall off, that lapel mics are bad, they're useless. And I think that's what goes on in New York, is a lot of that kind of passed down culture goes on. When new people get hired, brought in, they're told, don't mess with those lapel mics. They'll just fall off in a fight. They're worthless. And it could also go into how much they cost. And when you think about a large agency like New York purchasing all this stuff, I mean, they got to purchase a shit ton of lapel mics. So they probably only have so many of them to begin with. And the ones that do have, they probably have ended up getting broken a lot because these radios they have are not individual take-home radios. There's a lot of agencies out there that all your equipment is take-home. Even your damn car is a take-home piece of equipment. Places like New York, you don't get to take everything home. You sure as shit not taking a car home. The radio, you're not taking that home. They've only got so many radios. So you turn your radio into shift, and then you go back and you draw it again. But not the same one, but you get a radio the next shift. And so some people, they like the lapel mic, some people don't. And so what ends up happening with, some of those is that constant taking on and taking off, taking on, taking off ends up damaging the connection piece for the lapel mic. So there's some radios that have probably, or at least some of the lapel mics have probably become damaged, or some of them because they get taken off and thrown to the side, they end up getting missed or misplaced or lost or something like that. But I think the bulk of it is just kind of a culture thing where they just don't believe in them. It is true that lapel mics can fall off during a fight. The clip on it's kind of small. You clip it to your epaulette up on your little strap on top of your shoulder is where most people will strap it to or clip it to. And then you've got your uniform shirt. You can kind of clip it into, in between where the buttons are. And just smacking it with your hand can make that thing fall off. There are some remedies out there. There's a company called Mic Loop that makes a product. I think it's a pretty decent product. You can check them out. I don't get any endorsements out of them or anything, but just looking at it, seeing how it's used, it's obviously a no-brainer. That's a pretty good product. There's some other products out there that I think that aren't as great. So I'm not even going to mention them, but there are multiple other products out there that advertise to remedy this problem. But the company Mic Loop is one of the ones that I think actually does truly remedy that more solidly. You can roll your own. You can get some paracord and make something similar to a Mic Loop product, or you can get some shock cord and kind of make something similar to it, depending on your setup. If you got an outer carrier vest, you can definitely set something up to make it a whole lot easier. I've taken some shock cord and I got a couple different carriers. One is a more of a tactical carrier. It's got a bunch of MOLLE shit all across it, so I can have a loop of shock cord on there, and I can pull that shock cord out, slip the whole microphone up through it, let go, and it tensions in under the mic. And because of the size of the mic and everything, you pull on it, it's not going to come through the loop on itself. And then on the uniform style carrier, I've got it set up to where basically there's a loop made using an Alpine butterfly knot, and the rest of it goes in behind the shoulder strap Velcro area, so it's all hidden. All you see is one little loop there, and then I can expand that loop, push the microphone through it, let go, let it contract on itself, and then I take the clip and I clip the clip in behind that knot and the rest of that material, and it's not going anywhere. Like it's rock solid. So I have some pictures of that up on my Facebook page. You can go through there and look at that. I think I labeled it as tactical arts and crafts. So there's different remedies that you can do to prevent your lapel mic from being knocked loose. Even if your lapel mic does get knocked loose during a fight, it's still on your body. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, it's dangling off down to the side, usually around your knee area, but your radio is still on your belt. All you got to do is reach down to the radio and click the talk button. Clicking the talk button at the radio will activate the microphone. All you got to do is talk a little bit louder and say what you need to say. If you need to hit the emergency button, well, hell, it's the radio's still in your belt. Just reach down, hit the oh shit button, and everyone will start coming to you, so long as they know where you're at. Just because your microphone is dangling around at your knee doesn't mean you can't communicate. You can't talk. You can still reach down to the belt where the radio is at and either hit the emergency button or B, hit the push to talk and start talking loud enough to where the microphone will hear you. And people are going to, like I said, they're going to come to you so long as they know where you're at, or at least they're going to shut the fuck up and start tracking you down. And people aren't going to be missing on the radio, and they'll hold that channel for you while you're doing what you're doing. Moving on. So that was from the first three people in that first vehicle. They went nose to nose. This, of course, is going to be the vehicle that comes in from behind. And it looks like no one's got their radio or their cameras turned on. That's just in pre-event buffer mode. How they timed it out to where they were going to fucking box these people in, I don't know. Maybe just perfect timing where they were setting this trap up on them. I have no idea. Could have been stuff that they was coordinating all along while dealing with these people.
Taser, take. Give me hands. Give me hands. Give his hands. 39 and J, we need, if additional units, 39 and J. Give him your hand, I'm gonna pop in your face. 39 and J. 39 and J, we need multiple units, Central, multiple units. Alright, your phone's back on. He's cuffed?
Back this up.
Give me hand.
Alright, so as we can see, he's wearing a jacket, and the jacket kind of covers up the camera. This is a problem with traditional uniforms and body cameras. They don't really mix together very well. If you're going to be wearing a jacket the majority of the time, then I think it would be in your best interest to put your camera mount on your jacket. That way you don't cover up the camera itself. Other than that, I do kind of think that traditional police jackets should be more of a thing of the past with the way clothing technology and knowledge has progressed over the years. So the traditional, police jacket is just a thicker jacket, just almost like any normal jacket that you have, except it's tailored a little bit different. On each side there's slits so that the jacket will go around the holster, and the holster will be on the outside of the jacket, and it won't impede your drawing ability. And of course, they got the little badge pins at the top left breast area where you can put an actual badge in through it. Usually a lot of places just end up embroidering those jackets. But it's just a standard jacket design. Each company is a little bit different as far as the uniform manufacturer and how they do it, but they're all kind of similar. And yeah, for the longest time, I guess that was an acceptable, okay thing to have, but jackets aren't really the greatest thing to be wearing when fighting and maneuvering and stuff. It's just kind of like an afterthought, like, oh, wow, it's cold as shit out right now. Okay, well, everyone else wears jackets in life. We'll just give the police jackets too, and then they can put their patches on it. Yeah, like I said, it sounds great, but they don't really work that great. I think that they're okay for more static things where it's less likely you're going to be involved in stuff. But as far as jackets and being out and doing stuff where you're more likely to get into shit and things pop off right then and there, I don't think jackets are the greatest thing to be having. Instead, I think that a good layering system is more optimal. But that also means that you have to put a little bit more thought and effort into being warm during the cold months. You got to know what your current weather is now, and you have to know what the predicted weather is going to be later on during your shift so that you do not over layer. With outer carriers, I think it's a little bit easier now to do some better upper top layering. From waist down, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Like you wear your base layer, you can wear an insulating layer under that, and then your uniform pant on top of that. Or in sometimes you just wear a base layer and then a uniform pant, and then you're good. With the upper side, you've got the vest on, and so now the vest is going to be creating hot spots within the chest area. So if you get a traditional insulating top layer and everything, that can cause your chest to be pretty damn warm, etc. I do have a video on a tactical winter combat shirt that I've been using, or I actually started using it last year, and that to me is the cat's meow. So it's got the sleeves on there that's kind of like a traditional uniform style sleeve. It has those tactical pockets on the sleeve I'm not the biggest fan of, but the chest piece and the back is just like a regular summertime tactical combat shirt. It's a thinner material, but this material is more for winter because it is a little bit thicker, but it's more breathable as well. So you can wear an outer vest over top of it, and you're not going to be creating a bunch of hot spots under this vest and getting super, super, super hot, and then sweating a whole bunch either. So as uniform clothing technology has gotten better, I think it's easier to go away from the traditional jackets, and that allows for better access to stuff, especially if you have the tactical outer carrier styles where you keep pretty much everything on your damn chest or your vest itself. Taking away that jacket, you have better access to all that stuff. You don't have a jacket impeding your draws or anything like that. And it just kind of makes for, I think, a little bit better appearance and everything. So with the body cameras, if you're going to be using the traditional jacket, like I said, one thing you can do is put your camera mount on the jacket itself, keep it zipped up, or B, depending on how you get your camera mounted, what I used to do with a lighter jacket that I would wear is I would take the zipper and I would zip it all the way up to the point of the camera itself. I'd lift the bottom of the camera and I'd zip that zipper up in behind that camera itself, and that way that camera was outside of the jacket, so to speak, and I wouldn't have the jacket flapping in front of it, obscuring the view of the camera itself. Other than that, there's not much else you can do with jackets, unless you that one company, I cannot remember the name of the company, but they produce it's basically a freaking phone, like an Android-based phone that you wear under your uniform, and they got these little metal, I don't want to say grommets. I can't use my words this morning. Little eyelets, basically, that you can have sewn into your uniform shirt, and basically have a hole in your shirt. And then when you put your uniform on, it matches up with how you wear that camera under your uniform shirt, and the little lens pokes through that little hole. Well, they also do it for jackets and stuff too, so you can put those things on the jacket. That's the only really good seamless way of having a camera and an outer jacket intertwined together, so to speak. Other than that, if you're using a traditional like Axon camera or another camera that's same concept, just the box that you attach to the outside of the shirt, you're going to have to either put it on the outside of the jacket or run the zipper all the way up to it and behind that camera and kind of keep it stable right there in the middle where the jacket's not going to flap in front of it, or else you're not going to see shit. Moving on, talk too much about that. So it looks like he fires on the move. We don't get to hear it because he don't have his damn camera turned on. We already talked about that.
Taser, take it. Give me hands. Give me hands. Give his hands. 39 and J, we need, if additional unit is 3.
So this is another illustration of why I think it's important that lapel mics are used. He's now one-handed right now with his taser. If this had turned into a fight and he's going to his gun, now he's going to be using his gun one-handed. But in this instance right here, where they're dealing with a resisting subject, I think it's best that he be able to have, excuse me, I think it's best that he should be able to have that radio attached to a lapel mic, and he can get in there and start getting hands-on, and all he's got to do is reach up, click the button, talk, let go, and then continue to help with hands-on. If not, then this is what you see that he's having to do. He's having to stand back a little bit and talk on this radio, and then having to move this radio down into his pouch or into its swivel mount. It's not very effective. The taser he's got looks to be a Taser 7, so it does have a 2-shot capability. Now, depending on how he has been trained with tasers, 2 different ways. Either A, he's completely brand new to this stuff, and he was trained on the Taser 7, and that's all he knows, and this will be kind of a moot point talking about it. Not so much a moot point, but a little bit more than the other way. And you don't have to have that much concern about an ND. The second way that he could have been trained on this is he was trained under the older style tasers where it's just one cartridge, and when you fire that cartridge and you want to deliver more cycles to the person, you pull the trigger. Well, that works for that system, and if you've been trained on that and now you go to the Taser 7 or the X2, it's a whole different ball game, because you pull that trigger again with the intentions of delivering another cycle, you're actually going to fire that other set of cartridges or that other set of probes, and that happens a lot. I've seen a lot of videos where officers fire their X2 or 7 twice, and I really don't think they had the intentions of doing that. I think they just had the intentions of delivering another cycle, but they were so used to the training of the old device that that's what they're used to. They're used to just having to pull the trigger to deliver another cycle instead of hitting that side arc button. So with him, the way he's holding this Taser 7, and he's muzzling the fuck out of this other officer, he's increasing that risk of potentially firing another cartridge and those probes going into that contact officer who's on top of the suspect. If that happens, well, that sucks, because now that officer is going to be incapacitated during the cycle of the taser. And if the suspect still has good connection, then he's going to be incapacitated too. But if his probes become disconnected, then he's not incapacitated. Then you run into the scenario where the officer's incapacitated, going under taser cycle. Now the suspect's not. You have to be mindful with your muzzle discipline, even when it comes to the conducted energy weapons. You have to treat those just like you do your guns, your live guns. You don't want to point your guns or let your muzzle cross things that you do not want to be destroyed. So don't be pointing your taser in a way that it points at other people.
Give me your hand, I'm gonna pop in your face. 39 and J. 39 and J, we need multiple units, Central, multiple units. Alright, your phone's back on me, right? He's cuffed? Yeah, he's good. Alright. Good. Alright.
And we'll skip. Bam. Like Sergeant Dokes. Surprise, motherfucker.
Give me your hand, I'm gonna pop in your face.
Don't grab anything.
You're not doing nothing. My phone. 39 and J, we need multiple units.
In the coming weeks and months, the NYPD Force Investigation Division, in cooperation...
All right, so not much else to say. I mean, runs, catches the bad guy, and you can't really see a whole lot with the cameras itself anyway. It's nighttime. Even though it's a version 3 of an Axon body camera, even then, the footage just ain't that great at nighttime. the way they box these people in. Let's see if we can go to the very beginning where it shows like the house security footage. So, as I said, I don't know how they lucked it out or timed it out to be able to do this boxing in maneuver. But somehow they got into that position to be able to attempt that. I think, and I could be wrong in this assumption, but I assume that the reason why they are attempting this box-in maneuver is because they're probably not allowed to engage in pursuits. A lot of agencies out there, especially within larger municipalities, larger kind of more liberal ran areas, they have very restrictive pursuit policies. Basically, they can't pursue anybody. Like, if you go to New York and you're in New York City and you get pulled over by the NYPD and you decide to take off, chances are, unless you've done something super serious, they're not going to chase you. They'll call it the vehicle description and that'd be that. A lot of places, like I said, a lot of larger towns, cities, more Democrat ran are like that. So I think that they are doing this maneuver to get around that because they know they can't chase them. So what's the next best thing to do? Box their ass in, prevent a chase from ever occurring. It sucks that they're having to, if that's what that is, that sucks they're having to do that to come up with these different ways of, trying to prevent a pursuit from happening. Because what it does is it creates the potential for crossfire. Good guys here, good guys there. So they start shooting, gunfight. Well, that's potential for disaster right there. You don't want to be downrange of a gun of your friendly fire. You don't want the chances of dying by friendly fire because that's super demoralizing when your team kills someone else on the team. Those officers that have to go through it, it's a big head fuck for them. And then for the rest of the town, the society, it just makes the agency look bad when cops shoot other cops. It kind of makes the citizens lose a little bit of faith in them to some extent. So, if these tactics are going to have be ran like this because no pursuit policies, or even if it does end up into a pursuit and this is the way to try and ram them and get them to stop, I think that probably the best practice is whoever is going to be nose to nose, their first thing to do is dismount from the vehicle and run to either side to cover, get out of the X. Let the people who are going to be in the rear be the ones to stay at the rear and take cover behind their vehicles and enact the quintessential felony traffic stop, so to speak. So one side is going to have to do something to get out of the crossfire. And I think just a blanket thing to do is whoever's in the nose vehicle here, as soon as you fucking ram that car or you throw that damn car in the middle of the street and turn it into a barricade, dismount and fucking beat feet. Get the hell away from it as fast as you can. Run, take cover behind something else. Hell, if you need to, run all the way down this way, run around the house, and then come out behind the other side over here and then come in from the rear. Like, you don't want to be downrange of other friendly units who could be potentially shooting in that direction. Now, that also means that when you dismount that vehicle, you need to make sure that vehicle cannot be taken. So that's going to be turning the vehicle off, or as you're running, hitting the lock button on your key fob and making sure that the doors are locking at least as a bare minimum But ideally, it's disabling the vehicle before you completely move it, because that then leaves the possibility of the bad guys being able to get in that damn car and then take off in the police car. If you're going to be using the front vehicle as a blocking in vehicle, you need to be cognizant of you need to be conscious of the fact that the suspect vehicle can back their vehicle up and then create space to exploit that space. So either the driver needs to fully commit to ramming that vehicle and trying to disable it, or staying in it to be able to react to the gap that's going to be created and then close that distance and box them in even further. This happens a lot when a vehicle goes to get boxed in. They just throw it in reverse and then find a purchase point and drive through it. So that's what he did. He backed up, he got enough space, and then shoop, move it on around. So although this tactic can work with some people, it's not always going to work. Probably the better thing to have done, especially considering the street right here, is pull the vehicle more catacorny, sort of, where the ass end is more closer to this side and the front end of this is more closer to this vehicle over here, and just completely block the roadway altogether. Now, will that completely prevent this person from being able to go around? No. They could potentially run it up on the sidewalk right here and go down the sidewalk and then come out the other end. That's a possibility. But at least by having that vehicle diagonal across the road like that, it does block their ability to use the rest of that roadway and be able to blow around you and go through it. Now, depending on how you cut your wheels and everything, they could still ram that vehicle and push it out of the way. So you would want to, in this instance, when you go to park it diagonally like this, you'd want to cut your wheels so that if they hit that damn car, when your car starts to move, you want your turning wheels to work for you, not against you. So if you took the car and you had it parked diagonally like this, and you cut the wheels, or you take your steering wheel and you turn your steering wheel to the left, then what would happen is, if they would go to ram this car and hit it, the front end of the car, your car, is going to more or less go back out towards this way, and that could create a space for them to go through. So you'd want to turn the wheel all the way to the right, and then that way when they hit that, it's going to make it the nose just kind of go into this direction more and hit into this vehicle, and it's not going to more easily move out of the way, so to speak. So without throwing up diagrams and pictures and video of explaining what I'm trying to talk about, it's kind of hard to explain it, so I'll just leave it at that. Not much else to talk about with this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.